Hey, good morning, everyone. These are the things you should know this week. One, look on the back of your bulletin. Meatless Monday is tomorrow. If you haven't gone, these are awesome. Donna Jewett, raise your hand. Ask Donna if you have any questions about Meatless Monday. You absolutely want to try it if you've never gone. And if you've already gone, please come back. February 9th, we are having a Pathways to Membership class from 11:30 to 1:30 in Waters Hall. If you are considering membership, please, please, please come to that. Annie, raise your hand over here. Annie's the one you want to see if you have not signed up yet. If you haven't gone to a shareholder meeting, please sign up on the sign-up table. These are designed for small groups, so don't just show up, please sign up. Exciting news, the Americana Quartet Passerine will be returning to UCOV on Saturday, February 15th, 4 to 6 p.m. Doors are going to open at 3:30. Admission is $20. You can buy your tickets online or pay at the door with cash or check. So go to our website, ucov.org, if you want to buy online. We have a special, exciting things you ought to know from Wayne. Where is Wayne? Come on up. Big round of applause for Wayne.
Good morning. Last Sunday, I reported that we thought the auction had raised around $10,000. We were wrong. We raised $12,500. So again, thanks for everyone who participated, whether that was providing food, coming to the auction and bidding, donating an item. A lot of folks were involved, which is why I had a great time doing it. So thank you very much. We're already planning for next year's. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Wayne. And another special, wonderful word from Denny Fuller. Denny, come on up for us. And Denny's going to talk about the fellowship groups for just a minute, or 5.
Certainly not the half hour I want. My name is still Denny Fuller, and in April I will have been a member of UCOV for 21 years. Adulthood will descend upon me. Finally, at age 85. But it's not I who I'm going to talk about today. It's my next favorite subject. And as Bette Midler said, I'm going to peddle my papayas. The papayas I'm peddling are fellowship groups. These are groups of 8 to 12 members, friends, attendees, who meet twice a month and talk about a topic chosen by the members of the group. You select a subject, sometimes from a list, a lengthy list that's available to you, or of your own choosing. And at the second meeting of the month, another member of the group will choose a topic. We have groups of all men, all women, and mixed groups. No sheep. The nature of the groups differ from one to the next. Each defines itself, sets its own rules. operates under a covenant that the members adopt and periodically review and maybe even change if needed. The common thread among the groups is confidentiality. We're like Vegas. What is said in the group, well, not exactly like Vegas, but we're like Vegas in that what is said in the group stays in the group. And I am unanimous about that. Although we're not a therapy or support groups, we're supportive of our members when they need it. Some groups think of themselves as spiritual fellowship groups and others don't. Some groups take the summer off, others meet throughout the year, both by Zoom, in person, or both. What the group is what the group decides, and you, as a member, help to shape that. Close relationships start in the group. My closest straight male friend in Florida started in our group when Richard Herman joined about 5 years ago. Richard describes our group as, quote, a place to share a piece of me in a way that I usually don't. Share a piece of me in a way I usually don't. Seeing others from the inside out is what I love about these groups. And of course, the members. Thank you, Richard. If you want to learn more or even start a group, I asked Bill Harrison and Wendy Voigt to stand so you'll recognize them. Is either here? Yeah, Bill is here and Wendy's here. They'll be on the lanai after the service and can tell you more about these groups, answer questions, and sign up if you want. Wendy has been the chair of the committee that organizes our 6 fellowship groups, soon to be more. And Wendy has been our leader for more than a decade, and we thank you for the ease of your democratic leadership. Perhaps we should offer Wendy our condolences for her 10 years, but definitely our thanks along with our congratulations. Bravo, Wendy.
And bravo, Denny. Thank you for sharing with us.
Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, better known as UCOV. My name is Nancy Minaldi Scanlon, and I will be your worship associate this morning. Whether you are here for a day or for a lifetime, we are glad that you have chosen to join us for worship, community, and celebration. If anyone is here for the first time and feels comfortable doing so, please stand up and someone will bring you a microphone so you can introduce yourself. Any brave souls? All repeats today. Well, that's good too. If anyone has come back this week from the Winter Wonderlands, please feel free to raise a hand. Anybody? Wow, okay. Oh, we do have one? All righty.
Thank you, Janice. A little hesitant, but I'm visiting here just for 2 weeks in Florida. A very, very good friend, you may know, Bonnie Addison. I was a member of the UU Church in Charlottesville for many years, loved it, have moved away from that location and have not found a new home in South Carolina. But I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
I'm visiting Bonnie too. We were librarians together in North Carolina. My name is Cindy, and I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. Anybody else? Okay. We are now entering into sacred space. So please silence all electronics you may have here with you today. We gather together to face ourselves honestly, to forgive ourselves gently, to love one another fervently. May the chalice light the way toward a world of beloved community.
Reverend Victoria Safford once wrote, William Ellery Channing, the 19th century Unitarian, said once in a sermon about slavery, I am a living member of the great family of all souls. And sometimes I think the church has no greater purpose than to convince us all of that and to proclaim it to anyone who needs to hear it, which is everyone. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your story, you are a living member of the great family of all souls. It's so easy to forget this or never know it at all, that you absolutely belong. By definition, as a person, as a creature, you absolutely belong. Despite what you may have been told, despite your own darkest doubts and suspicions, you have a place at the table, and the universe is glad to see you. In this church, we mean to be for each other, as wide as each other extends, the ears and eyes, the welcoming voice, the incarnate, embodied, real, live embrace of the universe or God. I'm not sure that God has any other way of showing up except through us. That is universalism. That is radical hospitality. And it extends to all of us, and it extends to everyone. It's a theological idea not unique in our denomination by any means, but it is central here. Radical means literally not wild, not crazy, but to the very root. To our very roots, we are glad you are here. So come and let us worship here together. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We're going to do it through 3 times. This is our time of offering, and as always, the offering words are given with levity because offering should never hurt. An elderly Florida gentleman emailed his son who was in prison. Dear son, it is terrible. This year I won't be able to plant the tomatoes for your mother's beloved tomato patch because I am not strong enough to dig up the garden by myself. I know if you were here, you would help me. It's terrible. She's heartbroken. And his son wrote back immediately, Hey, Pop, don't even think about digging up that garden. That's where I buried the bodies and the money. I'm so sorry about the tomatoes. And a few hours later, 3 carloads of FBI agents descended on the frail elderly man's house, and they began tearing up the whole garden area, shovels and hoes, and eventually finding nothing, they apologized deeply to the old man and his wife, and they left. And that night, the old man received another email from his son in prison. Dear Pop, go ahead and plant the tomatoes now. That's the best I could do in the circumstances. Now, Steve and Bill won't let me tear up the yard looking for body or money, so the morning offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you so much for these gifts and for everything that you do for the life and the work of this community. Because it's as a community of human hands and human hearts that we come together here to bear witness and minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joys. Before or at any other point in the service, you're welcome to come up front, light a candle for yourself on the candle table. At this point of the service, we will light them for you. So at this time of sharing, please feel free to raise a hand and someone will bring you a microphone.
Tina Putney. My husband and I are wearing masks today. We're not sick, but there was a nurse who came to the workout class I go to that said that Venice Memorial is loaded with people with COVID, RSV, flu, pneumonia. And she said, wear a mask. So,
Good morning, I'm Kim McHugh, and this is a joy. Last April, 4 of the ladies from our congregation took a ride together to Parrish, Florida, and there was a Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon Southwest Florida UU Women's Retreat. There were different activities that took place, lots of meals were served, the housing was very reasonably priced, and we will be doing it again this year. They had to move the date. It will be April 11th to the 13th, which is Palm Sunday weekend. So save that date, ladies, if you're interested in going and having some companionship all together.
Hi, I'm John Van Camp, and Katie and I are so pleased we're celebrating a visit by Paul and Yoka Kay. I've known, they're from north of Traverse City, Lake Leelanau area. I have celebrated over 50 years of meals, of laughter, of vacations together, of tennis with this guy. Occasionally he lets me win. So we're celebrating their being here for several days. I have another celebration that I had a senior moment last week, and I forgot to acknowledge the 4 of us who represented the Unitarian UCOV at the MLK March in Punta Gorda. It was a march, it was over a half-mile long with many, many different people there. And Brad Harden in the back put together the signs from all of the members of the Social Justice Alliance. So thank you, Brad. And Janet Morrell and Diane Goss also participated in it. UCOV was a sponsor of that event.
My name's Janet Knudsen, and I'm overjoyed with the outpouring of generosity from this congregation for the family in Nokomis that lost everything in the hurricane. And I will be delivering all of your donations and gifts to her on Thursday. So thank you so much.
I'm going to take a moment. I'm Jean Barlow. And this is my first time back here for the service in a month. And many of you know that I was in Venice Hospital with flu, RSV, and pneumonia all at once. And that was a month ago that I was there for a week. I finally have strength back, and I want to thank you all so much for your loving concern for me. Thank you. It's great to be back.
I'm Steve Batchelor, and I have a sorrow for all of you. Bill Wolfers is in Village on the Isle, and Tim flew in Friday, and Meg is flying in tomorrow. So Carol's requesting that they just have time. Thank you.
Our cat, Nikki, came home from the hospital on Wednesday after 3 days for a urinary blockage. We took him to the Blue Pearl, which is a wonderful emergency vet
hospital up on Tamiami, and they did a great job if you ever have to do that. We have to take a second mortgage out, but other than that, great.
Good morning. I am Hector Malave. I have a celebration that my husband Louis is recovering. His hip replacement has taken a lot longer to heal. And I can tell you, I worked at the VA Boston Hospital many years, and men are way worse than women. So I tell you that so anyway, but he's doing better, and so it's just taking longer. So, but I thank you for everyone who has contacted me and your prayers and all that. It has helped a lot. So it's a good celebration. So hopefully he'll be here maybe in a month. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Janet Morrill, and I have a joy. My mother will be turning 97 on Tuesday. And I'm grateful for some of the things I inherited from her, the love of music, her sense of humor. I'm less grateful for the premature gray hair. But for those of you that are thinking, wishing, putting bad mojo on me to move on, I've got 30 more years at least if I inherited her longevity.
Hi, my name's Barb Gundy. I just want to thank all of you for the thoughts and kind words that you provided on my mother's death a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. And may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading today is by Rabbi Jack Reamer, and it's entitled, On Turning. Now is the time for turning. The leaves turn from green to red and orange. The birds turn and head once more towards the south. The animals turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong. And this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. And this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are hard to do. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around, O God, and bring us back toward you. revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us toward each other, God. For in isolation, there is no life. Our words for meditation today are a poem by Alice Walker. A poem that reminds us that forgiveness is not just something divinely granted, but also something which we receive as a gift of our divine humanity. It's entitled, You Can Talk. You can talk about the bomb in Gilead, but what about the bomb right here? What about the healing of the wounded heart when someone you have harmed gleefully embraces you? Please join me in 1 minute of silent thought, meditation, or prayer. Thank you, Lisa. Our second reading is entitled Choice by Lynn Unger. There isn't a right answer. There just isn't. The game show where the bells ring and the points go up and the confetti falls because you got the answer is a lie. The preacher who would assure you of how to attain salvation is making it all up. The doctor who knows just how to fix what ails you will be sure of something else tomorrow. Every choice will wound someone, heal someone, build a wall, and open a conversation. Things will always happen that you can't foresee, but you have to choose. It's all we have. That little rudder that we employ in the midst of all the eddies and rapids, the current that pulls us inexorably toward the sea. The fact that you are swept along by the river is no excuse. Watch where you are going. Lean in toward what you love. And when in doubt, tell the truth. Our hymn will be number 354, We Laugh, We Cry, verses 1, 3, and 4. Please rise in body or spirit and join us.
Feel
Years ago, I had 2 teens and a preteen boy in the house all at the same time. Yeah, you can imagine the joy that came with that. And one of the discussions we had often is, please do not torment the preteen. You would think this would go without saying. It does not. And one day, after he had aggravated them enough about wanting to borrow money to get his hair dyed, he was a brilliant redhead, the older 2 decided they would help him out by spray painting his hair the color he wanted. This ended up requiring a trip to the hospital for poison control and the shaving of the redhead's hair. Needless to say, I was not happy. And you can read that in big capital letters. And when we were talking, the older 2 said, well, we said we were sorry. And there was a long moment where I contemplated very unministerly violence. And instead I went into the bathroom and I got a big tube of fresh toothpaste that one of them had just bought. And I walked back into the living room where they were standing, and I took the toothpaste and I took the cap off, and then I went like this. And it went all over the floor. Squeezed every drop I could out of that expensive toothpaste that one of them had just bought. And I said, I'll tell you what. Put it back in the tube. And they started laughing. I said, oh, I'm not kidding. Show me what it takes to put it back in the tube. And suddenly I had 2 17-year-olds on the floor trying desperately to suck it back up. And after about 8 or 10 minutes, they sheepishly admitted they couldn't put it in the tube. I said, now what do you have to do? Clean it up? There was a pitiful little... I said, yes, you have to clean it up. Go ahead, get the stuff. So they went and rummaged and got the stuff. And 45 minutes later, they had gotten this entire tube of toothpaste out of the carpet. There was now a bright patch on the carpet from all the cleaner. And I said, now it's your responsibility to get my carpet cleaned, because we can't just have the one patch. All in all, it cost them a little over $500 by the time we were done. And I said to him again, what happens? What do you think happens when you say, I'm sorry? Can things ever go back to exactly the way they were? Can you find your way back into welcome? Can you make things perfectly okay again? And what happens when you're the one hurt? Do you have to forgive? These are really big questions for us right now in America. A lot of us have been hurt by the actions of our government, by people who we thought were beloved friends who made voting choices that hurt us to the core. Others of us feel like, well, I did this, but I'm going to say I'm sorry and I mean it. Never occurred to me that this would happen. We're hurt. Saying I'm sorry and ideas about forgiveness and how it works are important. Mostly because we're not perfect. We all make mistakes every day. And wounding happens all the time. We sing that hymn where the original words were written by Rumi, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Even if you have broken your vows 100 times, come again, come. These doors are open to you, Rumi says, even if you've really screwed it all up. You haven't ruined everything just because you've ruined something. Come back. Try again. You may have gotten the toothpaste all over the carpet. Spend the money, get a cleaner. Spend the time, make an effort. We welcome here those who have been hurt and those who did the hurting. And here are two ideas that seem to be complete opposites. You can forgive and be forgiven, and what you did or didn't do, or what someone else did or didn't do, can change the world forever. Writer Sam Greenspan collects the most profound thoughts he finds on the internet, and he collected this statement on a site called Reddit. One day your parents put you down, and they never picked you back up again. One day you were fine. One day they could still carry you, even if it was only barely, and the next day it was too much. The reasons didn't matter. The world was different from the moment your mom or your daddy put you down that last time. The world changed. Both mistakes and forgiveness work that exact same way. The minute it happens, the world changes. And we learn about forgiveness as kids, or at least we think we learn, and it starts with a magic ritual. Someone does something that hurts someone else. I steal your pencil eraser or take a bite of your brownie when I wasn't supposed to. And the perpetrator feels guilty, or they just get caught. And they are taught to say magic words that make everything all better. And I bet you all know them. What are the magic words? I'm sorry. Now, children are ferocious, feral little boogers. They just want to go back to playing. It takes a while to learn exactly what empathy and sympathy are. They have the idea, but it takes a while to get it through exactly how it works. So we teach them this magic set of words. And to complete the ritual, we teach the victim to say what? What do you say when somebody says, I'm sorry? We say some variant of that's okay, I forgive you, I accept. And then the problem is over there, right? And mom, dad, teacher, minister can go away and shut up. And the kid who did it, you guys can just go back to playing because the ritual has been fulfilled. And religion reinforces this. Christianity has a whole bunch of bits in it about it. Buddhism teaches of the need to forgive without being asked. Writing, he abused me, he struck me, he overcame me, he robbed me. In those who harbor such thought, hatred will never cease. He abused me, he struck me, he overcame me, he robbed me. In those who do not harbor such thoughts, hatred will cease. The Buddhist reading gets to the heart of the issue. The hatred, fear, and anger that arise when someone hurts you. Letting go of hatred and fear and anger is a good thing. Now, we're encouraged to do that. But can we always do it right now? A crying 13-year-old whose head has just been shaved, who has been treated for the paint exposure, who's in pain, is not about to go home and say, that's okay. That's okay, I forgive you. The part we leave out of that sentence, letting go of hatred, fear, and anger is a good thing. The part we leave out is letting go of hatred, fear, and anger is a good thing when we are ready to let go and when we are no longer being harmed by that same person or situation. We can pretend that the world didn't change when someone did something wrong, and we can pretend that that is true. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We cannot pretend that those magic words fix everything when it rises above the level of "you broke my crayon." When mom or teacher or minister or religion tells us we have to forgive, we have to say the magic words, "I forgive you." And when we're forced into that, instead of actually forgiving, actually letting go of it, we don't let go of that hatred and fear and anger. We hide it inside instead and pretend that it's all okay. When a queer person's parents vote for somebody who wants to extinguish them, and the person says, "Well, I'm sorry, but it just made sense to me financially. They're who I..." And the queer person says, "No, that's okay, I forgive you." No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They internalized that pain. And when we internalize, we let it fester and dig at us. Why? Because we have been told you shouldn't feel that way. How about this one? You have to be the bigger person. You have to let bygones be bygones. But how do we really let go? And when do we let go? And what are we letting go of? It's one thing to forgive someone for stepping on your foot. It's another thing when it was a deliberate decision that nearly killed your heart. If we really value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we have to include ourselves. We may get furiously, sickeningly angry with what is happening in our country today. Black and brown people are being treated as objects. Immigrants are being demonized. We may get furiously, sickeningly, screamingly angry when LGBTQ people are treated as second-class citizens. We agree these people have worth and dignity. To insult them is to insult all of us. We get that part, but we're not always so good when we're the victim. I'm going to give you 3 lines, and I want you to repeat them. This is hokey. I admit it, it's hokey. But it's also true. I want you to repeat these after me. I have inherent worth and dignity.
I have inherent worth and dignity.
I have value.
I have value.
And here's the biggie. I am allowed to be angry when I am harmed. And you don't have to show me hands on this, but I'm willing to bet that most of you in this room were told at some point as children, you're not allowed to be angry. Oh, just forgive them. They didn't mean it. You're not allowed to be angry. Wipe that look off your face. I see some nodding. You are allowed to be angry when you are harmed. Now, I know that doesn't sound much like forgiveness, but bear with me. That anger at another person, at a situation, or even at yourself, is the first step toward actual healing. Redemption, absolution, forgiveness, none of these can happen if you cannot claim your own worth and realize, I've been hurt, and darn it, that shouldn't have happened. And I'm mad about it, because I didn't deserve that. I have worth. Something of value was damaged, and it was you. Now think about that for a minute. How often have you been unable to forgive someone for something? And how much of that was because they just would not admit what they did? That's relevant right now. There are things our government is doing that no one is ever going to call you and say, I'm sorry I put you through this. How often was it that no one called you to say, I'm sorry, because they didn't feel sorry? Or maybe they just weren't sincere enough in their efforts to make it right, so you never felt apologized to. We have been taught somehow that it matters that the person who hurt us validate our experience of being hurt. That the extent of their apology, perhaps, defines our wound. Gaslighting is a way of life here in the U.S. I'm sorry you got hurt. If you were hurt, I didn't mean it. You know what? Bad people will never care that you were hurt. People with memory issues won't remember that they hurt you. People who have died will never be there to apologize for the hurt. Politicians will never care that you were hurt. Forgiveness is not a shared construct. And let me say that again. Forgiveness is not a shared construct. If you have been hurt, it is nice if the other person recognizes it and apologizes, but their recognition is not needed. Nobody gets to validate that you are hurt. You're hurt because you say you're hurt. Your word is enough. Now, does that always mean you should have felt hurt? There is no woulda, shoulda. Yes, there are people who get hurt by the air they breathe. Everything hurts them because it's part of a greater hurt and they need bigger help. But they still feel hurt. Nobody gets to tell you you're not hurt. And when we own our right to be angry when we're hurt, we also own our right to put away the weight of that anger when it's no longer valuable to us. The other person's permission or action is not required. And once we reclaim the right to actually feel our own hurt and accept the anger, when we are wounded, what do we do with those emotions? Well, you experience them, you explore them, you make them an invaluable part of your journey toward meaning, you learn from them. Take the time you need to understand what happened. But when you are done, you let go of them. Because forgiveness is not about forgetting. It doesn't wash it all away. Saying I'm sorry didn't make my little redhead's hair grow back in. He'll never forget what happened. It doesn't mean that whoever hurt you didn't mean it. So what is forgiveness? If you let go of everything you have been taught about this idea that somehow forgiveness is a two-way street. The Greek word for forgiveness was aphesis, that translates to releasing. Release. It means to choose to take someone that you have been holding on to, holding in your debt, chained to, holding in hatred or resentment or bitterness. Release them. My one friend said, I finally am tossing them off the cliff of my mind. They have been tied to me long enough. I cut the ropes and I threw them off the cliff in my head. Letting go of the chains breaks that person being tied to you. Forgiveness is not saying their actions are okay now. It's not turning a blind eye to injustice. It means that you get to choose, not them, when you are sick of this whole thing and wish to simply put it away. And I venture to guess that each of you have heard in your life, oh my God, how could you forgive that person? Well, it's simple. I didn't want to be tied to them any longer. Forgiveness is taking your own power back, removing the unwanted ties that bind you in a relationship that weighs you down, putting away a situation you finished learning from. Stop waiting for them to care about the damage they did and take control back of your life. Years ago here in Florida, in 2002, a 22-year-old named Eric Smallridge did a terrible thing. He went and got stinking drunk at a bar, and he killed 2 young 20-year-olds, Megan Napier and Lisa Dixon. He ran them over, driving absolutely plastered. They were college students, they had loving families, he killed them both instantly. He was convicted, he was sentenced to 22 years in prison. And once he was there, he wrote to the families and he said, "I'm so sorry." Megan's mother, Renee, her heart was broken, her grief was killing her. She made it her life's mission to stop this from happening to other parents, so she started Megan Napier's Foundation for DUI Awareness. She talks to high schools. And for years, she had done events around Florida. In fact, she just retired a year or 2 ago, speaking about the dangers of driving under the influence. She talked to thousands of kids. And then it occurred to her a piece was missing. And so she wrote to Eric. 3 years into his sentence, she and other family members wrote to the judge and said, "We forgive him." And then she went a step further. She asked that he be released to start working with her against DUI as soon as possible. So for 2 years, they brought him out in shackles from the prison every time she spoke. And he stood there in front of those children. Can you imagine being a young man like that and standing in shackles before kids who were less than 10 years younger than you? And he would talk about what he had done. And then in 2012, because of the victim's family's requests, Eric Smallridge was released at the age of 34. The mother has said she can't forget, but she forgave him. He has become like one of her own children. "I could be angry, hateful, and bitter," Napier said. "I don't want to live my life that way. There was no way I could move on without forgiving him." He has told multiple interviewers that he cannot forgive himself. He has committed to continuing this work, and he has committed to continuing that. He has done it. He tours with her up till she retired. He said, "When I see her, I see an angel." Her response was clear and direct. "We live in a world with pain and heartache, and I want to promote love and forgiveness and break the cycle of hatred." Was she extraordinary? Maybe. Or maybe she's telling the truth. She could not live with those horrible chains of hatred and anger. Monstrous things happen in the world. Lives change, and then what? You're supposed to be an angel? To be Renee Napier? Forgive everybody? No. You are the only one who can decide when you are ready to forgive. And putting it down doesn't mean letting the same person hurt you over and over and over again. You can forgive someone and never want to see them ever again. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Renee Napier didn't hand Eric Smallridge a beer and put him back in a car. Letting someone continue to destroy you isn't forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a free pass. It isn't an invitation for a toxic person to continue abuse or for you to continue to abuse. Forgiving means exactly what I said, letting go of the chains. And for each of us, the time to process hurt is different. Sometimes we may even need professional help. You are not wrong for taking the time you need. It only becomes wrong when you cannot move on. When the hatred and the anger and the fear hold you in place. When the only answer you want to hear is, make it not have happened. Or undo what I did. Or let me undo what you did. There are no magic words. Even when we have caused the problem, when we feel we are to blame, there comes a time when you forgive yourself. If you refuse to forgive your mistakes, you're trapped. Your journey has ended there. You have worth. You have value. Even when you've done terrible things, those things are not your sum total. Forgiveness is not a shared construct. And just as you don't need permission to forgive someone else when they've hurt you, you don't need anyone's permission to forgive yourself when you were the bad guy. You're so much more than that. Sometimes forgiveness means cutting the ropes that hold you in a place or a relationship. Forgiveness is a release from ties we never sought, which binds us to things we don't enjoy. It's an escape from the darkness of anger and hatred and despair. It does not mean you gave up or that you decided that what was done was okay. It means you are brave enough to light a lamp and look for a way forward, to look for a way home to a place where you feel safe and loved and whole. Forgiveness doesn't wipe the slate clean. There are no magic words. The world has changed. And you can't forgive while you're actively being harmed, but you also cannot be bound forever by your mistakes or the mistakes of others. You're not perfect. Admit what you did, forgive yourself. Admit what they did and feel the anger, but then go forward into the light of day. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Forgiveness is not saying, I'm sorry. Forgiveness is being whole again. Come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Amen. Carry the light of this chalice into the world and light your lamps to welcome one another in. Our final hymn today is 131, Love Will Guide Us. This is a fun one. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 131. Because of those who came before us, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. May we remember to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, to welcome each other home. Peace, Ashe, and may it be so.